Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Before I starting this presentation, let me introduce myself. My name is Alvi Hidayah from the English Literature at Sultan Agung Islamic University. Okay, today on this occasion, I will explain Carl Gustav Jung's theory of analytical psychology based on the poster. This story discusses the structure of human personality, psychological dynamics, personality types, and personality development through a process called individuation. Okay, let's move to biography of Carl Gustav Jung. Carl Gustav Jung was a Swiss psychiatrist and he was born in 1875 and died in 1961. He is known as the founder of analytical psychology. According to Jung, the human psyche or soul is the entire personality consisting of the conscious and unconscious. He divided the human psyche into three main parts: consciousness, the personal unconscious, and collective unconscious. Next, move to level of mental life. That is consciousness. Consciousness encompasses the thoughts, perceptions, memories, and feelings of which the individual is aware. At the center of consciousness is the ego, which functions to shape self-identity, the sense of I, and the continue of experience. The ego helps a person recognize themselves as an individual separate from others and the environment. For example, when a person realizes I am nervous before speaking in public, that awareness belongs to consciousness and is guided by the ego. Next, there is personal unconscious. The personal unconscious contains experiences that were once conscious but later forgotten or repressed. This part is unique to each individual. Within the personal unconscious are complexes. There is complexes. Complexes are collection of ideas or experiences that carry strong emotional charge. If not properly integrated, complexes can unconsciously influence a person's behavior, emotions, and reaction. For example, someone who once had a negative experience with a teacher may feel anxious or insecure around authority figures without knowing exactly why. This reaction is influenced by a complex in the personal unconscious. Okay, the next is collective unconscious. The collective unconscious is the deepest layer of the human psyche. This part is shared by all of humanity. It contains innate patterns from human experiences throughout history. The collective unconscious doesn't originate from personal experiences, but it universally inherited. For example, many cultures around the world share similar symbols, such as heroes, mothers, or wise elders, even though they developed independently. This similarity comes from the collective unconscious. Okay, the next, their archetypes are universal patterns found in the collective unconscious that influence human personality. The first is persona. The persona is a social mask that individuals use to adapt to society. The persona helps a person function socially, but if it becomes too attached, the individual can lose their true identity. For example, a student who always appears confident and cheerful at campus may hide feelings of sadness or insecurity behind their social mask. The second is shadow. The shadow is the dark, primitive side of the personality that is often repressed or rejected. These traits are considered inconsistent with social norms. If not recognized, the shadow can manifest in negative behavior such as anger or protection. For example, someone who denies their own jealous may accuse others of being jealous instead. This is the shadow expressing itself unconsciously. Okay, the third is anima and animus. The anima is the feminine aspect in men, while the animus is the masculine aspect in women. Both are essential for psychological balance, and imbalance between the anima and animus can lead to inner conflict. For example, a woman who completely suppresses assertiveness or independence may struggle with decision making, showing an imbalance in the animus. Okay, the last is self. The self is the archetypes of wholeness and harmony. The self symbolizes the union of consciousness and the unconscious. According to Jung, the self is the ultimate goal of personality development. For example, a person who accepts both strength and weakness and lives authentically is closer to achieving the self. Let's move to dynamic of personality. There is a principle of equivalence is a psychic energy is never lost but simply moves from one part of the psyche to another. The next is there is principle of entropy. The psyche naturally strives to achieve balance between two opposites. The next, there is causality and teleology. Is the human behavior is influenced by the past, but also by future goals and hopes. Okay, let's move to psychological types. There is two type of psychological. The first is attitudes. Attitudes have two types. The first is extroversion. Is the orientation to the external world, and the introversion is a orientation to the inner world. Okay. The next is function. Function. There is four types of function. The first is thinking. It's a thinking logically. Feeling is a judging based on values and feelings. Sensation is a relying on the five senses. Intuition is a seeing possibilities and meaning. Each individual has a dominant combination of attitudes and function. For example, an extroverted thinking person may enjoy analyzing ideas quietly, while an introverted feeling person may focus more on social harmony. Okay, next to development of personality. The first is childhood. Is the ego begins to form and separates from the collective psyche. Next, youth is energy is directed outward, such as toward education, career, and social relationships. Next, second half of life is attention begins to turn inward, the search for meaning in life and self-reflection. For example, adults in middle life often start questioning the purpose of their life, not just success or achievement. Okay, like that. Move to the last is individuation. Individuation is a lifelong is a individuation is a lifelong process of achieving wholeness. This process includes awareness of the persona, integration of the shadow, balancing the anima and animus, relation of the self through individuation. One becomes a more whole, balanced, and authentic person. For example, a person who understands their social role, accepts hidden weaknesses, balances emotion and logic, and lives according to their true self is experiencing individuation. Okay, that concludes my explanation of analytical psychology by Carl Gustav Jung based on this poster. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for listening to me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.